Hello and welcome to another episode. I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander, and this is Who's That Creator, where I showcase a Magic the Gathering creator, big or small, so that you don't miss out on really awesome Magic the Gathering content, and you get to learn a little bit about the creator behind the content. We're starting off on Twitch, so by all means, if you're in chat, ask your own questions. I'll filter them into the ones that I have going. But let's jump into my awesome guest for tonight, and I'm really grateful to have them. So, low-hanging fruit, first obvious questions you've done a million times. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
Hi, I am StrixhavenDropout, or Cass Hines. I make short-form content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I also say stuff on Blue Sky. I also write for EDH Rec and Cool Stuff Inc. under Cass Hines. I had an article go live today about should you be running more removal or interaction, or should you just become the threat and win the game? That's a controversial article because it went up today, and normally I check my comment section just to see what people are saying, see if I missed anything, and the comment section is hot. Nice. People are getting in there, putting their opinions in, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, this is a popular one.
That's good. I like that article, too, because I agreed with you. Well, I mean, you didn't necessarily pick a side, but, like, I'm not a high removal person. I think, player removal is the best removal, so I'm just going to play.
Agreed. And sort of the thing about the articles I write is, like, I like to explore an idea. I don't like to settle on an idea unless I believe there truly is one. And I think a lot of times the reason people fight about this in the Magic community is because it's not cut and dry. The answer is not obvious. It's not the same for everyone. It's not one size fits all. So a lot of times I just like to explore the idea to give people thinking points. Sometimes people aren't empathetic with other people's perspectives, and I just want to give them enough ammunition to, one, state their point and the valid position behind it, and understand another person's perspective and the valid points behind that. So
right. I'm also putting your link tree in the chat here so that anyone hanging out in chat, you can go check them out and follow Cass wherever you whatever your favorite social media is.
Blue Sky. Hit me up on Blue Sky. I like talking to people on Blue Sky.
Okay, so next question, and this ties in because as you can see on the screen, you've got a really cool logo there, and StrixhavenDropout is the general handle. So is there a story behind your name and slash logo?
So I actually was trying to figure out, I didn't consume a ton of Magic content a couple of years ago. I only recently started consuming Magic content. I used to play a lot of Magic, but I didn't watch other people play Magic. I didn't read articles. I didn't do any of that stuff. And a couple of years ago, I started to become interested in it. And I was like, I like a little name, a little funny guy name. And I was I was thinking about a lot of different variances of what I could do. And I was just like, I have always been a straight A student. It's kind of cringe of me. I've never been a teacher's pet. I always got into trouble, but I always did my work. I like to learn. I like to read. I like to understand. Right. So a lot of times I was motivated personally by knowledge. And I feel like a lot from what I've heard about Strixhaven is that they're very anal retentive. And I was like, I feel like I would go to Strixhaven for knowledge and leave because everyone sucks. I think I would drop out of Silverquill. So I was like, I think I'm a Strixhaven dropout.
I like that. That's very cool. And it fits. I figured it was something like that, but I mean, I still wanted to know for sure because it's a cool, obviously it is Magic the Gathering related, but it's not blatant. Like even me, like Unskilled Commander, it's very blatant what I'm talking about and what I'm doing. StrixhavenDropout is Magic related, but it's not well, what does that mean? What are you going for?
A little Vorthosy. It's like a little Vorthosy.
So what prompted you to become a Magic the Gathering content creator, and how long have you been doing it?
Ooh, this is a spicy question. Okay, so it's a little bit long. So I was a teacher for 8 years. I have taught in a lot of different places. I taught in China. I taught in New York City. Wow. I taught in California. I taught in Florida. I've taught a lot of different places. It's important for me to understand how people learn and understand different types of people. So I've taught as a job in a lot of places. However, in 2019, I was diagnosed with a mental illness that was very severe. It's called schizoaffective disorder. It's a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar 1. It's not always bipolar 1, but mine is bipolar 1. And because of this, it made it really hard for me to do my job. I ended up becoming very debilitated, very disabled, and I ended up having to quit my job somewhere around I think August, September of last year.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Because I just couldn't handle it.
Mhm.
And I wasn't particularly happy in my job, to be honest. There's a lot of bureaucracy in teaching in Florida that just wasn't my vibe. It didn't matter what you were doing. It didn't matter if you were innovative. It didn't matter if kids learned. There was just like bureaucracy. So
Sure.
I genuinely hated my job for that respect. But I liked teaching kids. I liked when they learned. And because of that, I was just kind of conflicted. I didn't know what other job I wanted to pursue. And I started to become very job oriented. And then I was like, you know what? The one thing that I genuinely enjoy right now, I really enjoy playing Magic. And I've always wanted to share my joy of playing Magic with other people. And I love writing articles. So I started writing articles for Cool Stuff Inc. in June before I quit my job. And then I quit my job. Then I started writing articles for EDH Rec. Then I started being like, you know what? I should do videos. I should, go on streams. I should fully throw myself into content creation because I think I genuinely enjoy it because it's an opportunity to teach people about something that I love, right? Which is like a combination of all the stuff I love. And I really needed purpose, right? I felt very disconnected by the fact that I didn't have a job. I did eventually get another job that I just kind of do to pay the bills, but it's a very laid back job. And I do content as like my goals in life. It gives me purpose.
Okay. That's a wild ride. It's like most people are just like, oh, I was bored. I figured I'd do it, whatever. It's like,
yeah, I've always really struggled with this idea of purpose. I have always been a person who's like a lot of energy, a lot of devotion to things, and I needed somewhere to put that energy. I like to write, I like to think, I like to talk. And like surprisingly, the Magic community is filled with people who want to do this. And I love playing the game. So I could do all the things that I love in one place. So I was like, content creation became like a new brainer. I had to do it. I had to write articles. I had to go on streams. I had to play these games,
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, we got a really cool question in chat here from the Blood Red guy. Thank you very much. So, Cass, are you more of an impulsive writer or a methodical?
I went to school. My bachelor's degree, at least, was for creative writing. My master's is in psychology, but my bachelor's was in creative writing. And when I started writing, I was a very impulsive writer. I was the kind of person who's driven by impulse. I was like, oh, I have this really cool concept. I want to put it down on paper. I'm inspired.
Right.
And I realized that it became unstructured and less impactful when I went with my first impulse. I am the kind of person who's motivated to write by impulse, but I'm controlled enough that I let those ideas stew before I sit down and write. Most times when I think of an article idea, I'm thinking about it all week long. I'll play a game of Magic, I'll have an inspiration, I'll start thinking about what I'm going to write, and I spend the whole week kind of pseudo writing it in my head. Then when I sit down to write, I kind of put down those thoughts. Some things make the cut, some things don't. Sometimes I yap too much and I talk about a concept and I'm like, that's not really working. I'm going to cut it. It actually comes down to a lot of, like nitpicky stuff. But I would say in the grand scheme of things, I'm a little more methodical. I'm a little more methodical than I am impulsive, but impulse is where I started.
Right. That's fair. I mean, I think like probably, well, I can't say probably, but you would think that kind of is how a lot of writers are, because I've written stories and stuff in the past, and it just starts with a concept, and it's great for like a short story or whatever to just go. But like for something larger, if you're trying to like, go try a book or something like that or a novelette, it's like, okay, well, let me get the concept, and then you start making scenes and you just sit on it for like a few weeks coming up with like characters and like, well, where do you want it to go before you like, is it worth it?
And the surprising thing is that when I was writing, I wrote a novel. Every writer has the novel that they wrote that went nowhere. And I ended up writing my first novel that I wrote to completion. I wrote in high school. I wrote like this very lengthy fantasy fiction about like a boy who was chosen. I wrote this kind of story.
So did
and it was very impulsive. Like I said, it was just like a bunch of like random stuff happening. There was no cohesion. when I went to college and I started writing with theory, right? I started realizing that even short pieces require a lot of method, right? You want every line and every scene to be impactful because most people don't read short pieces. Most people want to read a novel. They want a whole story. They want a lot of characters. They want pizzazz. If they sit down and read a short story, it's harder to keep their attention. So you have to give them straight gas every line. And I feel like in my experience, I'm more methodical about short pieces than I am about long ones.
Okay, that's interesting. So keeping on the writing, how did you get into writing articles for Magic? I mean, I know we kind of touched on it, and it's part of your content. But like, what made you think, hey, this is not only something I want to do ongoing for content? What made you say, yes, I'm going to write about this and reach out to EDH Rec or wherever, to start and see if they will take it type thing?
So I was on social media and I saw an ad for Cool Stuff saying that they were looking for writers. And I was like, I don't know if I'm really qualified to write about Magic. I haven't been playing Magic since '93. I feel like, what could I possibly have to say about Magic that was like relevant?
Right.
So I wrote an article. I thought it was funny. I thought I would be funny as my in. Sure. I wrote an article about the top vanilla creatures in Magic.
Oh, nice.
And I submitted this article. I was just like, if they like this, they'll like me.
Right.
And they were like, this is perfect. We love this. And then I wrote another article explaining how to get around protection, because this is something that's always fascinated me, is how people's brains shut down when they see protection. They're like, oh, I have no way to interact with it. I was like, no, there's like a lot of ways to get rid of stuff with protection. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. So I wrote an article about that. And then I started to lean more into this kind of like obsession with like social aspects. I reached out to EDH Rec because I use it a lot, and I was like, hey, are you guys looking for writers? Because I would like to write for you guys. You're a place that I read articles from. I want to write for you guys too. They reached back out. They were like, oh, we read your stuff. We love it. Like, we want you to do that stuff here. And then I basically started writing articles here. My first article for EDH Rec was the etiquette of removal, because there is kind of a kind of stinky, confusing meta when it comes to removing people's commanders. There is like a unspoken rule that you can't remove a commander more than twice. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. I thought it was interesting.
Can you tell my friends that?
It wasn't the same thing. Like, well, that's the thing. You feel this desire to have your commander left alone, and I think that's fascinating. If we want to win, we got to remove the problem. And if you're playing Kalia the Vast, that means removing her, right? But at the same time, it's like, there is this desire for us to enjoy Magic, everyone at the table. It's this desire to think about the etiquette rules of how many things you remove on one person's board before it becomes bullying. And I wanted to talk about that. I thought it was fascinating. And that's kind of how I started writing for both those places.
Nice. Okay. So what are some challenges or key rules to writing any kind of article, quote unquote article, where it's like something like that for the Magic area, or if you were writing an article about photography or whatever, like based on your experience, like what do you know as the hurdles, or just the bare bones like rules you got to start with?
To tell people when they write anything, or if they speak online, or even if they basically open their mouth to speak to another human being, you are not the smartest person in the world. You always need to check with other people. If you have an idea, bounce it off of someone else before you're sure that that's how it is. If you see the world a certain way, something has formed in your brain as being true, talk to another person openly about this to see if you're right. And I think that writing articles is the exact same way. You go in writing an article being like, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
You need to know what you're talking about. You need to know. And the best way to see that is to know alternative perspectives. I feel like you cannot make a solid point in any way without talking about the opposition to your idea. And sometimes in talking about this opposition, you realize you're not as right as you thought. Maybe there's actually more to this. And I think that is the key, at least for me, in writing an article about a correct way to do something, or the correct interpretation of something, or anything like that. I think writing like deck building articles, right, is just make sure that you talk to people. lots of people have ideas. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room to write a valid article. You can say that your friend gave you this idea, right? And you bounced off of that idea and got a bunch of other stuff. Maybe your friend's the brains, you're the writer. Sometimes you can say, I was talking to my friend and they said this, and I think it's brilliant. You don't have to take credit to every idea that pops into your brain, or every half-formed idea is the greatest thing ever.
Right. Okay. I mean, I get and agree with that. You know, it's just basically do your research is like probably your key starting point. It's just making sure you understand. You don't have to understand everything, but understand the basics and make sure that you're not, you know, ostracizing an entire area or, you know, misleading yourself on like, oh, I know this. This is how you do it. And you're like, oh shit, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, and sometimes you will write an article where you did all your research, and then you'll go to the comment section and someone will point out some key thing that you've lost. I always put in my articles, if I miss something, please tell me. Because what's more important to me than writing a successful article is just being smarter than I was yesterday. So I was like, please tell me if I missed something. I want to know. If you say that I like made excellent points, but I didn't consider something, to consider it. Maybe that'll be another article that I write that is like reassessing my original opinion about Duskmorn or whatever.
I try and do the same on my, like, especially on TikTok, but I repost them elsewhere that I have like discussionary videos, you know, like 3 minutes or less, where it's like, hey, this thing, and don't do this, or, you know, you should do that, whatever. It's like I try to end it with like, but what do you think? Like, if you know, if you disagree, let me know, you know, or like, oh, here's what I think some of the best cards for this deck are, but what would you add? How would you make my deck better? You know, because I honestly want to know, because literally the Unskilled Commander was created for two reasons. One, to do charity streams so I could add more money for my Extra Laugh campaigns every year. And two, to stop losing to my friends all the time. I want to get better at Magic. So it's like, and honestly, because I've been doing this for a few years, like it actually has helped doing, like playing the games and stuff the way I was doing it in the beginning. It actually did teach me stuff. So I've gotten a little better. But yeah, it's like, so I want to keep learning, you know, I want to keep getting better. So yeah, and also to your point is that if something is wrong or just different, or I didn't consider something, that just helps make you better.
Yeah, and even if someone brings something to your attention and you don't agree with it, right? At least now you know a little bit more about the perspective alternative to yours, and that's a new thing that you've learned. I think sometimes it's not about whether or not you agree or disagree, is that whether or not you got your brain moving around an idea a little bit better. And sometimes hearing an alternative point gives you more solid evidence that you are right. You know what I'm saying?
So what keeps you motivated to continue making content? You know, like what keeps you coming back to write more articles and to play more games and be part of the general creator community?
I think it's a combination of things. When I first started, I was so scared. I was like so afraid. I'm like I try to act like I don't care what people think, but I think deep down inside, everyone cares a little bit what everyone thinks.
Sure.
It's not the sort of thing where you necessarily change your behavior or change yourself, but you want to be liked. And being exposed online gives you opportunity for a lot of people to hate you and a lot of people to be mean and stinky, you know? I was really scared about joining any community because before this, I put a toe into the movie scene. I was thinking about doing content for movies because I'm a big movie buff. I'm kind of pretentious. I'm annoying. I really wanted to do that. And I took a step into it. I started going to like group meetings and watching movies. And I thought it was the most hostile community I've ever been in. Heavily male dominated, very arrogant, no alternative perspectives, closed metas, no alternative thinking. It was extremely whitewashed. It was just miserable. I was like, there is no opportunity for anyone to have fun here. And I hated it. So when I was thinking about joining Magic, I had had that experience and I thought it was going to be the same thing.
Sure.
But at the time I was like, you know what? I should just do it. I should just try it. Magic is like my favorite thing. I should try it. And one of the things that motivates me is how incredibly kind this community is. Creators specifically. I think that the Magic community can be divisive in other ways, in social aspects, right? Like it's a boys show. It's also a white centric. It's a little more queer than most other spaces, which I'll give credit to that. But I think the creators, at least, are extremely open. They will give you opportunities. People will reach out to you. People will want to work with you. People will give you advice. There's no gatekeeping. It's all fun and love. People want to just play this game and enjoy it. And I love that. I love that. It makes me want to be a part of this community. I want to give back to the people who gave back to me, like kind of like what you were saying at the start of this with your interviews. You want to give back to the community. That is what motivates me to stay. I feel like there aren't a lot of queer, disabled, Black immigrant women playing Magic in this space. And I'm like, I want to be that for other people. I want to do that in a space where people are looking for themselves so deeply in this game.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And you're right. I mean, it's one of those things too where it's like I don't have any qualms about the fact that, oh yeah, look, another fat bald white guy with a beard. Wow. It's like there's like a billion of us, so it's like there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be more of everything, because that's what, Magic is. That's who plays Magic. It's not just this, you know what I mean? So yeah, and being able to be I don't want to say a beacon because that sounds pretentious, but you know what I mean? Like someone that other people can look to and like, oh, there's me. That's really important.
The thing that like warms my heart is the amount of times that I see like Black women playing Magic, and then I'll post a video, and then in the comment section I'll see a woman say, "You're the only other Black woman that I know that plays Magic, and you live in the United States, so I like watching your content." And another thing, a point of pride for me, is that in this space, I am not just a person who plays Magic, but I'm seen as somewhat, not in an arrogant way, an authority on things, right? People turn to me to ask questions about Magic, which is something that I think is like huge, right?
Yeah,
to give people an opportunity, right? To hear the voices, because sometimes creators are faces and they don't get to be voices, and I think that what's like great, right, that makes me happy personally as a person is my articles, is that I can speak to Magic as much as be a face for it, and I just think that's really important.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so the next question, I think we've kind of touched on it just on a tertiary level, but what do you feel makes your content stand out? Like what makes you think your articles, have their own voice? Like what is it that makes that different?
I think it's two things for my articles. One, I think a lot of people are reading articles to make their decks better. I'm not writing articles to make your decks better. I'm writing articles to make you better. I think that I want players to be more sensitive and thoughtful about how they play this game, because it's so fun. It's so incredibly fun that I want more people to play it. And I think that the community struggles because there's so many people who don't consider the social aspect of this game, even though that's what they love, right? If they didn't want a social aspect, they would play standard. You know what I'm saying? But people are playing Commander because they want that social aspect. They want that multiplayer. They want that variety. They want that creativity. But at the same time, right, people are not discussing how to think about other people's experiences. They're not talking about how a game might make you upset, or how incredibly uncompetitive the game is, even though we desire to win, right? There's so much to this game that makes it complicated. And I think what I like to talk about, what I like to write articles about, are those kinds of things. And I think people are looking for that validation, or at least that argumentation.
Right.
Because not necessarily in my articles do I pick a stance. My preferences, but I never really say that this is the answer. Sometimes I just want people to think. I don't want them to decide with me because I'm a person saying something. I want them to think. And I think that that's what makes my articles stand out in one respect. The other one is that a lot of my articles are open-ended. Because they're open-ended, it allows people to think for themselves. And I think that that's another appeal. So it allows people to think for themselves, and it also talks about the social aspect of Magic. It's two things that you just don't get a lot of other places. I think a lot of articles are very self-assured, very cocksure. This is the best thing that you can put in Tifa Lockhart. There's no other card you should be playing. And I just want to talk about Tifa Lockhart is a deck that is really hard to play because it knocks out a player and then loses. Let's talk about that.
Right. Yep. It's funny because I have a Tifa deck that I love, and it's probably one of my second strongest decks. But you're absolutely right. If you don't get it going fast enough, it's just you take out one person. But I think that's also most commander damage focused decks end up being like that, unfortunately, because it's hard unless you get extra combat steps and you got some red in there. It's hard for you to take out more than one, maybe two people before everyone's ganging up on you and you get taken out. So that's a good aspect, or a good aspect of things to discuss.
Yeah.
And so, okay, this one I'm really interested in because like I see this pop up on your video feeds all the time. How do you stay motivated and think up the content for your day X of X stuff? Because like, because you're up in like the hundreds now, and it's just like,
I'm 132 today. I'm a thief. I go to EDH Rec and I look at the top commanders and I pick the ones. I don't pick every single one. I like go through the list. And I like to pick ones that have a very clear voice. I like commanders that have clear voices because some of them don't. What was the commander? I was thinking Ulalak. I was like, it's really hard to tell Ulalak different from Azlask. So I was like, I'll do Azlask because you throw some Scions in there. Mm-hmm. For people who are watching, by the way, I do a daily show like 3 times a week called Guess That Commander, which is I show you 5 cards and you tell me what commander those cards belong to. I will always demonstrate every color that is available in the deck. I will always demonstrate only 5 cards. It can be lands, it can be instant sorceries, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's literally 5 cards that are essential to that deck. For the most recent ones that I've done, I have struggled to find cards that have unique voices. And for Ulalak, I think that if you just play colorful Eldrazi, right, people are like, I don't know if that's Azlask. I don't know if that's, Ulalak. Mm-hmm. I am like, I can do Azlask though, because if I throw some Scions in there, right, people are going to be like, oh, Scions and Spawns, colorful Eldrazi, Azlask. Mm-hmm. And I want people to feel assured in this. I don't want to trick anyone.
Right.
I want people to be like, I know this game well enough that I can figure this out. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be a gimmick. I don't want to trick you. I want people to have fun. I'm at 132 days, and basically I just go on EDH Rec and look at commanders with unique voices. I don't go in order. I think people are too smart. They will figure out that I'm just pulling from EDH Rec. I like go out of order and like pick ones from all over the list. And that list goes on forever. So I can find more and more obscure stuff as I go along. I haven't run out of stuff. But the thing is, the hard part is remembering which ones I've already done. Sometimes I'm like, have I done this commander? And then I have to go through, I have a list of every single one I've done. Yeah. And I have to go through the list and be like, have I done this commander yet? I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. I've had different things that I've tried over the years that like where you have to start keeping track, because otherwise you're going to double up or you're going to forget for sure. We got another question from chat. So this is an interesting one. So it's like, what is a moment that occurred in a game that made you feel the worst, and did that experience contribute to your stance in writing articles about social etiquette?
Yeah, most of my articles come from a particular game of Magic. Usually it's Friday Night Magic, and I go to my LGS and I sit down for a game, and something happens. Something happens that changes me forever. And then I write an article about it. Something that I feel is that sometimes it's not just me. Sometimes I'll have an experience that feels bad for me. Sometimes I'm at the hands of something that makes another person feel bad. Like the etiquette of removal, that article came from me removing someone else's Kalia like 3 times. She had to go, but I felt like bad about it. And they felt bad about it, but I was like, this is the only thing I can do, right? And this is like a tough spot, so I wrote that article. And the thing was, it wasn't just me removing the Kali, it was everyone, because like it was like, this card can't stick. You cannot go to combat. It's just like insane. But one of the ones that made me feel the worst is like most recently, actually, I was on my stream. And I told people were playing bracket 3, bracket 4, and I was like, hey, I want to play a pretty powerful deck. I haven't played it in a while. And I was just like, we're playing bracket 4. And I pulled out my Tivit deck, which is not a CEDH deck, not CEDH adjacent. It's a Blink deck.
Okay.
It doesn't have tutors except for one, which is a very bad tutor. It's a 5-mana tutor that you have to tick down a planeswalker to do. So like it's a bad friggin' tutor. But I run it because I run a lot of Tezzerets in the deck. And this is kind of like a sub-theme is that I run Tezzeret. I played this game and I hosed. I actually blew everyone out. Like it was just like unfair. It was arch enemy the whole time. It was just miserable. Hated that game. I hated it. I did not enjoy how good that went for me. I thought about this and I was like, what ended up inspiring an article was about the motivations for playing the game. It's equal parts winning, it's equal parts deck building, it's equal parts how much fun other people have playing. And I think that everyone's levels of these things are not perfectly equal. They have different things that they are motivated by more than other things. But I think all of them play a role, or we'd all be playing CDH, you know?
Yeah,
like we would
exactly.
like we have a little flavorful decide on what commander we play. Right? It's a little bracket 1-y, but at the same time, we feel bad not letting people go off, right? We feel bad when we play Tergrid and make everyone sack everything and discard their hands. So some part of us cares about how other people feel. How many times are we going to use a removal? So it became this thing that I realized I was like, I'm not motivated solely by winning. If I would, I wouldn't have felt bad playing Tivit. So I was like, that clued me in that there's more to this game that matters to me than winning, because before that, I thought that's exclusively what mattered to me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and a lot of people don't talk about that other side of it, because it's like I'm firmly in the camp that everybody wants to win. I think very, very few people that say I don't care about winning actually don't care about winning. I know like one or two.
I agree.
It's just something you say. It's like, I mean, I want to win. I don't want to win every single game. I mean, I'd like to win like 1 in every 4 and I'm happy. You know what I mean? 1 in every 5. But at the same time, it's like most people don't want to stomp like that. Like you're saying, like you don't want to unfairly go off. Like that's not a fun win because you don't feel like you earned it because it was like too easy, you know?
It's the difference between a Spike and a Johnny. There's Spikes play competitive commander. They play CEDH. They want to win. They don't care how, right? Not everyone is like this. Some people are Johnnies. They want to win, but they want to be proud of how they won. They don't care if it's an infinite combo or if it's combat or any of that stuff. They just want it to be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the difference between some players. And I wrote an article a couple weeks back that are about thinking about those types of players. Sometimes you're a Spike and you're playing with a bunch of Timmies and they hate you.
Yeah.
Right? Like they hate you, right? Like you need to find the table that is appropriate for you. And sometimes that means playing CDH. Sometimes that means playing bracket 1.
I'd be interested in like maybe you've already written one, and if you have, like let me know because I'd be interested in reading it. Like if you've ever thought about the concept of the players that do like to undersell their deck, like and how that affects the overall commander meta. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's the whole every deck's a 7 and now every deck's a 3. You know, because it's, you know, yes, it's hard to gauge your own decks and compare to others, but at the same time, there's plenty of people out there that like to be like, oh, it's just this, it's fine, it's a 3, and then it's like, you know, you're halfway through the game and you're like, God, man, you were not. These decks are not on par.
I think this is like a multifold conversation.
Right.
And I've kind of touched on some of these in multiple articles. The first thing is that I think that Rule 0 conversations should be pre-game and post-game. I think that when someone says that they're playing a 3, you are accountable to holding them to that if they don't play a 3. I have on many occasions played a game and after the game, like firmly told that person that is not a bracket 3, that is a bracket 4. And then they'll give me their speech about how they're not running enough game changers for it to be a bracket 4. And then I show them my sticker. If it plays like a bracket 4, it is.
Nice. That's awesome. I want one of them.
And I've told people a million times, that's the first thing.
Right.
Is Rule 0 conversations are extremely important pre-game, post-game. The second thing is that some people are not your friends. Some people are playing Magic because they like the power fantasy. And it's not because they want to have fun. It's not because they want to enjoy other people. It's not any of those things. And that's not necessarily bad. It is just not for everyone. And I think that's another Rule Zero conversation and a post-game conversation, is that if someone plays a way you don't like, name that and avoid them. I think that it's not really shitty to say, when you play your Tergra deck, I don't enjoy the game. So I would like to play with people who are playing decks that I like. I don't think that's unfair.
No.
Some people will say that you should learn to power through games you don't enjoy, and I don't see why.
No.
Personally, I think that if you are playing a game, you should enjoy it. If you want to test yourself and like get better at being salty, you can also do that too. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that I'm personally motivated by having fun when I play. So I'm going to curate my experience.
Yep.
Another thing is that we can account for liars. The bracket system is not going to protect against liars. If people lie and say their deck is a bracket 3 and you tell them and it's not, the next time you play together, they are held accountable by that. You'll be like, yes, I played this deck. It is not a bracket 4. I told someone the other day, we were on stream and he was like, yeah, this is a bracket 3. I took R shards out of it. I was like, bro, I played against that deck and I was playing a bracket 4, one of my best decks, and you clobbered me. That is not a bracket 3, not in a million years. He got mad. And I was like, that's tough, but that's not the deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I held him accountable, right? I had seen the deck, I would know, right? And I'm holding you accountable to that. If the vibes are off, the vibes are off. And if I don't want to play with that person in future, not the case here, right? He got mad, but we talked about it. Like, you really need to hold people accountable. I know that it's really tough to do that. A lot of people are like, I don't know this person, I feel shy.
Sure.
That's also fair. I don't think that if you don't feel like having that conversation, at least curate your own experience. If that person is playing a deck that's not accurately, just tell other people. Tell the people you feel comfortable around, or just avoid that person. Whatever is the easiest thing for you. But I think that in order to enjoy your experience, you need to let your feelings be heard, whether it's at first or later on.
I agree. What is a piece of content that you are most proud of, and why?
Okay, so this hasn't come out yet, but you heard it here. It's very secret. It should be coming out soon. I played and lost a game against Joe Johnson on his show Tabletop Jocks. It is the most fun and the craziest board state I've ever had in a game of Magic ever, and I am so proud of that deck. It performed excellently. It did the craziest thing in that game. No one's gonna walk away from that game thinking that anyone showed their ass more than me. I literally was doing everything you could do in those colors to its max, and I still lost. Right? I got stacked out a little bit, but I was very proud of that. That's like my favorite thing. I enjoyed playing a deck that I designed, and I got to play with people that I love. I got to play it for a cause that I love, Juneteenth, and I got to play it with people who really enjoyed the deck. And it does some stinky stuff. It's a little bit bracket 4, a little Staxy on its own. I play Vorinclex Voice of Hunger in that deck, and it didn't win me the game. I normally don't play it. I know a lot of people don't like Vorinclex, myself included. But
there's so many cards that people don't like. It's hard to avoid them all.
Yeah, well, Vorinclex is valid. It's like mass land denial. It's very stinky. I play it because Joe Johnson is like an extremely powerful player. He likes high power stuff, I designed the deck for him. I was like, I want to play a deck that you would play, but I want to pilot it, and I did. So.
Nice. That's awesome. Do you know when it's coming out, or is it like still?
The game where I lost, the game that I lost, I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know which one he's going to do one. I won one, I lost one.
Okay.
You'll get to watch and decide which one it is. Either way, I played an excellent game. Either way, I was very proud of myself.
That's awesome.
But one should be coming out in September, and one should be coming out February, somewhere in there.
Okay. I'll have to keep your eyes out for those.
Yeah, I'll definitely post it. If you follow me on Blue Sky, I will post it the second it lands. Once he lets me know, I'll let you guys know.
Awesome. Okay. Please do. So what is a part of your personality that you feel truly shines through in your content?
I'm very confrontational, not in a bad way. I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable, but I like to make people feel safe. And I think people feel safe when something bad happens and someone says something. You know what I'm saying? I think because of that, a lot of people feel safe with me. If I don't like something, or I don't understand something, or I've made a mistake, you will hear from me first before anyone else. I do not shy away from making mistakes. I do not shy away from being held accountable. I am also very vocal about holding other people accountable. And I think in a lot of streams that I've been in and a lot of content that I've done and a lot of articles that I've written, what shines through is that I am very open and that I prefer to understand things instead of be right. And I think that that makes people feel safe.
Okay. Has being a creator shown you any parts of yourself that you didn't know you had, or has it strengthened a weakness? Like, oh, I used to be shy, but now I'm not, or I wasn't great at public speaking or improv or something like that, and now I'm okay with it.
I've always been a girl's girl. I've always been someone who loves people. I love helping people. I was a teacher for 8 years and I was a high school teacher. You want to see miserable, annoying, self-righteous, obnoxious people, it's little 16-year-olds, right?
Sure.
I loved it. I loved doing that because I thought I did a lot of good. I think a lot of kids at that age are looking for role models and they don't get them in their day-to-day lives. And I got to be that. And I pride myself on the fact that, as egotistical as it sounds, I'm very happy with how I am as a person. I don't think I'm perfect. There's tons of things that I get wrong. There's tons of things that I make mistakes about, but at least I'm motivated to be a better version of myself every day. I like to learn. I like to change. I like to grow. It's like the happiest thing in my life. And I think because of that, I get to help a lot of people see that in themselves, right? Sometimes it's hard, just being wrong. It's hard, being held accountable. It's hard being public about it. I at least feel like in content, it shines through that I'm very comfortable with myself. There are things I'm insecure about. Like I see like people like to post online about that I'm ugly or that I'm fat or that I'm weird or that I'm black. Some people are just like, you're black. I was like, you think I don't know? I live in America.
What? Oh, shit.
A lot of people like to criticize things about me. And for the most part, it still hurts, right?
Of course.
It still sucks, right? But I feel like I'm one of the smartest people that I know. Not the smartest, but one of the smartest. I have a younger sibling that's very smart, and it makes me very anxious. They're so incredibly smart. I just feel really I feel comfortable in myself. I feel happy. I feel that in my content, it shows that I don't actually care what people think unless it's about growing and learning things, right? Criticism that is valid. Like if someone's like, you're ugly, I was like, I'm born this way. I can't change anything about that. That's not important. But if someone is like, yeah, you misplayed in that game, you should have sacked the land first and then done the trigger. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should have done that. I sequenced poorly.
Yeah. So what drew you to Magic the Gathering in the first place? Like what got you into it as a player and a fan?
I needed a job. And an LGS was hiring, and I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I was a kid. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hated it. I thought the rules were it lacked intuitiveness. And this is no shade against Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's an excellent game. It's just that it frustrated me because it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Sure.
And then I wanted a job at this LGS Cool Stuff Inc., which I ended up writing for later. They are local to my area. They're based in Florida, and I live down the street from one of them.
Awesome.
And I need a job. So one of the things that they said is that if you take this job, you're going to have to learn about card games. And the most popular one was Magic the Gathering. So I needed to learn about that. So I went to the store, I bought some dual decks, I sat down with my brother and I was like, hey, play with me so I can learn the rules, right? I thought I could learn the rules for Magic the Gathering in an afternoon. I sincerely thought this.
Right.
And I was like, oh, we'll sit here and play. And I would like read the little booklet. I was like, when can I go to combat? When is damage dealt? And I basically played with my brother, and I was like, I think I understand the game. And I worked there for a while, and then I noticed that a lot of people were playing Commander during lunch, and I wanted to play. Now, I'll tell you, this is back in like 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And the Magic community is not very nice back then. It's way more inclusive and open now than it ever has been. But back then, I was a girl, and I was black, and I was in an LGS.
Yeah.
So I was like, no one wanted to play with me. No one wanted to explain the game to me. No one wanted to give me a chance. And I ended up playing with one person, 1v1. I was playing 1v1 Commander because only one person would play with me.
Jesus.
And
Okay,
I ended up winning that game. And some other people who were like, oh, she actually knows how to play. We don't have to teach her. Let's see how she plays. And I played some shitty decks, lost a lot of games. But I got better every single time. And I ended up winning a few games. And I hate to say it because I don't think this is how it should be. But I basically earned my way into Magic.
Right.
I don't think you should have to do this, though.
No.
I think that the game should be inclusive. You should be able to play at a baby's level and enjoy it. The way that I had to break my way in is kind of miserable. And I'm hoping that because of the way that I had to break my way in and I opened the door for other people moving forward, that we just don't have to keep doing this. I think we're mostly there. I think a lot of people sit down and play Commander with all kinds of different types of people, and it's fairly inclusive. We could do more to make women and marginalized genders feel more comfortable, but we could always do that. You know, we should strive to keep doing that. But I feel like women and non-binary folk feel comfortable playing Magic better than they did back in 2016.
All right, another question from chat. You've done streaming and recently made the decision to stop. What were the reasons that made you stop?
So this is funny. I love this community so much. Everyone is so kind. When I said I was going to stop streaming, everyone thought I was dying. Everyone was like, oh my God, what happened? Nothing. I just named something that I don't enjoy. I don't like managing schedules.
Right. Yeah.
I don't like doing it. And like when you stream, when you set up streams, you have to manage a bunch of people's schedule. You have to check in on them. You have to make sure that they're on time. If someone drops at the last minute, you have to find a fill. And people drop at the last minute a lot. All
the time.
And I was just like, oh my God, it's so stressful because I'm the kind of person that my anxiety is like meeting deadlines. I don't like to be late. I don't like to turn in half-baked stuff. I don't like to be frazzled. I like to be prepared.
Yes.
So what ended up happening is that when people would drop, no shade to them, things happen.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at anyone. I personally couldn't handle the stress.
Right.
I was like, I can't keep trying to find someone to fill on my stream and managing that and like doing the checking in on people. People don't respond to their emails. People don't respond to pings. I'm like, are you going to be able to make it? I need to know. I need to know a week in advance. And then I need to know 2 days in advance. And then I need to know the day of. I need to know every single step of the way. And people just wouldn't get back to me. And I was like, you know what? This is too much stress. I don't really like it. I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop trying to do something that's like not particularly enjoyable. Once everyone else on the stream, I enjoyed it. I love managing, making the game for everyone. But it was like the behind the scenes stuff that I didn't really enjoy. And I was like, you know how I can avoid this? I could just be on other people's streams where they can handle the stress and I get to play Magic. So I decided I was going to do that instead.
Yes. No, man, we are in the same wavelength. Trust me. Like when I do my charity streams, it's like, that's one of the reasons why I would never do Commander like streams, like be a streamer consistently with that, because like there's no way. I see it all the time. There's so many people that are always like, hey, we still need one for tonight, because of, like you said, people drop, life gets in the way. That's understandable. But it's like, you can't. And whenever I do the charity streams, I try and do them a month out, like recruit, because that way it's like, oh, schedule should be open. But then you run the risk of people forgetting and double booking or something, which I've had happening. And I was like, so I try and like keep at them. So I'm with you 100%. It is stressful and it's frustrating. And unless you really, really love it and you have like a massive pool of people to draw from that are consistent, it can be rough.
Yeah, and it's no shade. Like, once again, I do want to say there's no person that I feel negatively about for canceling on me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't personally care if someone cancels on me. It's not something that I put on them. It is me who doesn't enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just don't want it to happen. And it's not because I'm like, oh, you shouldn't cancel. I think you should.
Yeah.
If you've got something going on, cancel. I do it all the time. But when I'm on the receiving end, then I'm like, oh, I got to figure this out now. I got to figure out who's going to sub. And I'm like, I don't want to do that work. I just want to get on and play Magic.
Yep. Because again, my goal has never been to be a professional streamer. I just want to make content and like get people to show up for the charity streams. But when I do them, even like something like this isn't a gaming stream, but it's still a stream that we had planned. It's like if something fell through, if you had to cancel last minute, I wouldn't blame you, but then I would feel like, unprofessional when I have to go online and say, oh, sorry guys, we have to move it.
Yeah, it's tough. And the thing is like, if it wasn't for the fact that like if it was like my job to organize streams, I don't think it would bug me as much. I think it's really that I'm doing Magic content for myself. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. I don't want it to become jobified.
Yes.
And that's what it was becoming with the streaming thing, is that I was doing it out of obligation to my brand instead of doing it because I enjoyed it.
Yep.
So I was just like, you know what? I think I'll stop doing it. I still don't know if I'll ever pick it back up. Maybe once I can get a consistent group of people who I know will show up, maybe then, or maybe I would turn to, instead of doing it each week, doing it once a month, so I have less to worry about. It hasn't been truly excommunicated, but I wanted a break.
Yeah, absolutely understandable. All right, so this is one of my favorite questions to ask people. So if Magic the Gathering went away tomorrow, it existed in the past, it existed yesterday, but somehow all the cards and everything's gone, we can't play it anymore. Would you continue to be a creator and move to something else, or would you say, I did the creator thing for a little while, whatever, we had a good run, I'm done, and you move on to something else in your life?
Ooh, I don't know. I really like doing Magic content. I don't know if I like doing content.
That's the question. Yep.
I like writing articles I really like writing articles about Magic. I think honestly I might actually take a stab at movies. I feel like when I tried to get into film, it was like way back in 2013, and I felt like a lot of the space was dominated by the type of men that I would kill dead in the street if I could get away with it. I feel like a lot of things that I've seen recently online about film has been a lot more diverse than it used to be. So I think I would try to pivot. Because content creation has been very illuminating and very fun for me, that I don't know if I would give up on it completely just because Magic went away. I don't know. I think Magic is kind of what pushed me to make content. I don't know if the joy of content is enough that I can pivot to something else that's not Magic related, but at the same time, I think I would miss it.
Yeah. Okay. No, there is no right answer. Like that's the point. Okay. So pie in the sky, what would you love StrixhavenDropout to become at some point? Like where do you really want you as a brand and as a creator? What would you want to what would you be known for? And just like you could be bigger than a professor, whatever. What's your goal? What would be fantastic?
I think I would like to be, this sounds weird because it's not the content that I am making right now, but I really like heuristic studies. I really like video essays about the very fabric of things. And I think that his videos are so excellent. I think I would really like to make my articles into video essays. I think it would be really cool if like my end goal is to be someone that people turn to, kind of like we turn to heuristic studies or Spice 8 Rack for big video essay topics.
Okay.
I think that would be the pie in the sky for me. It's not really numbers, it's more about reach. I want more people to think, and I think that my way of presenting information allows people to think.
Awesome. I like that. That's a cool goal. Or, ideal goal someday.
Yeah,
so I'm
pushing for it.
What kind of hobbies do you have besides Magic? What do you just do just for fun?
That's tough. my main hobby, I bully people into playing Magic with me. I literally am on 1,000 streams a week, and then I like call my friends and I'm like, hey, I got to stream at 9 p.m. Do you want to play Magic at 5 p.m. so that I could play 2 games of Magic? It's like obsessive. I'm like so locked in. I feel like content creation has like helped me scratch an itch, because before I was harassing my friends to play Magic way more than they wanted to fill the desire that I had for this game. I don't really have hobbies outside of Magic. I don't. I am either writing articles, posting videos, reading Blue Skies about Magic. I that's a lie. Obviously, I do have hobbies, but Magic takes up like at least 80 to 90% of my life right now. And I enjoy it that way. My other hobbies is that I really do like philosophy. I really do like talking with people about things that are not magic related, just like politics or like philosophical debates or concepts or like the way we see social issues. I recently, like, I'm not a religious person, but I started reading this book on about the Bible that I thought was really fascinating, where they just talk about data related to this book. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And I've been fascinated by it. I love big concepts. I love when people feel comfortable about talking about things. So that's fascinating to me. And I think that I'm also really artsy, like pretentiously so. So I like experiences. Like, I don't play video games, but my partner does. And I like analyzing video games. I like analyzing movies. I like analyzing books, stuff like that. I just love being very cerebral as much as I can and absorbing as much content as I can. I love movies. I love sitting down. Like, I just watched Monkey Man, the Dev Patel movie, and I thought it was very interesting. I don't love it 100%, but it's like a very interesting movie. I think it's a much must watch. And then I started watching Pride and Prejudice from 2005 because I love that movie. I think it's so good. I just love movies. So I guess like movies is my hobby, and like philosophy.
Yeah, well, I mean, just from what you said, it seems like you definitely love cerebrally dissecting things, you know, and just tearing things apart to their base core and finding out what makes them tick. Yes. So that's pretty cool.
And including people. Right. Sometimes it's people too.
All right. Well, that is all the questions I had for you. And that's all the questions we got in chat. I am really grateful that you took the time to do all this. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool getting to know you a little better and like getting your answers. I hope you had fun talking with me.
I did. This was very fun.